It's called FAQs. Poems, I don't count them. They're like lovers, I don't notch them. They exist in disparate places, get lost for ages. Now Facebook is an archive, but there are those that duck, dive from attention, get lost in a train station, not worth remembering or can't be arsed typing. Then there's YouTube. Use me as your lube, show me to your mates, add me to your favourites. How do you remember poems? I put it down to Catholic drones, drilled to say my prayers, having a mummy who cares for poetry, drama, expression, taught me the zen of repetition. It's my own, it's my mantra. How often does your iPod fail ya? I mumble beneath my breath, work the ones I don't know yet. I see the lines on the paper, I don't consider it labour. It's how I get my crust, but I'm still on the cusp of discovering what's inside me. It's like reading you my diary. What do you write about? The questions people ask. I like to have a task. Used to write for a birthday card, the birthing of a bard. How do you start? I catch a line. I don't edit, well, just a bit. And then through performance, unleash it on an audience. And this is kind of a poem about all my crazy relatives. It's in this book as well. Last night I dreamt I was crazy. I wasn't, but no one would believe me as I screamed, I'm not mad. I seemed crazier than Baghdad. I watched myself, but knew how it felt to have no way to convince them madness wasn't slipping in. Woke, groggy, mind foggy, like I've been fighting all night, fighting my ultimate fright, fighting Granny's ghost. Got more mad relatives than most. No lies on both sides. In my hallways hung Mum's, Dad's pictures of her mad mum and her painted eyes follow you. And I worry I'll follow them too, that I'll rip the seam of sanity and you'll find me mental inmate at the T&F. Meeting the electrodes, Granny fell. Great Granny never made it to hospital, she ended it all, postnatal depression or whatever it was called then. They lived in America. Grandad ran a speakeasy, many of her children died. Don't know their number or how she cried. Motherless family ended the roam, Grandad dispatched to a relative's home. My first cousin talks to the loony bin. With such kin, where to begin? The only condition with even distribution across humanity is insanity, yet its severity is more pronounced in our society. We beat a block the doors, cast them worse than whores. My mum visits my friend's mad mum, tries to keep her from the demon, helps her pay for heating. We outcast casualties. See, my grannies had many miscarriages. Perhaps it was these ravages of nameless burials, hushed up sentences. Unmuzzle the black dog, release the backlog, throat unclog and scream poetry to keep my sanity. Occupy your mind. Liberate our kind through coming together, camping in all weather. Here there is no hierarchy, but systems in the anarchy, self-management, self-restraint. We're a global movement. They privatise our common lands, plaster the place with brands, tell us what we should believe when it's inquiring minds we need. Here is our camp of questions. Here's our crucible of solutions. They say we don't know what we want. Look at the mess. We simply can't have the riffraff on the lawn. It's been 3 months. The tabloids yawn. But we know we want a fairer system without the corporate tax evasion. Voted that in by General Assembly. On day 2 had answers ready. Some give up job, family, home. Others already were alone, and Occupy is an intentional community, part of a global workers' strategy to take back what belongs to all and camp in defiance till the fall. We occupy globally, act locally. We are the many, they are the few, and we're sick of being told what to do. This is not a Saturday March demo. This is not a parliamentary memo. It's a global movement from below. It's the seeds of fairness that we sow by camping in defiance of all the shoddy finance. What you want is what it's about. We occupy for action. Hear our shout. My generation has Maori style slits. We detect the intensity of hits by the width and shine of gouges. From solitary forages, fountains found in bathrooms, red thread woven on sharp looms. Stone scores on forearms, like the lines forefathers scored on rocks long before the tyranny of clocks. The ancient signpost of streaks, now covered up by school shirts. Do they point the way, or is it not for us to say? I think of how scarification exists in many a nation. It's a ritualistic celebration, publicly glorified, accepted in the way tattoos are collected. It happens in every time and place. Are they just the markings of our race? I wanted to ask, why the inclination to inflict a sensation that must be excruciating? I love nail biting. I gnaw pussy fingers, a scab rarely lingers. I love the ripping of skin. I can't stop when I begin, and it hurts and it swells and it scars. But I draw the line at teeth, the only implement to meet my meat. I hurt myself on a daily basis, so it seems ludicrous to induce pain. Can't ascertain the gain. When I see the lines, like notches for the times, the pressure got too much. I think we all have a crutch. Okay. Jesus was born in an empty building. Imagine they wouldn't let Mary in. Imagine Herod had got him. A child exile in Egypt, if he'd claimed, would we accept it? Imagine they told Jesus, get a job! Stop being a vagabond, running round with your stories, sleeping in other people's houses, causing your mother distress, homeless in the wilderness. Eating what he found. The Testament is underground, hanging out with prostitutes, unable to afford boots. Jesus assembled a gang. Disciples is the slang. They would eat together, make people feel better, help them find more fish, multiply any dish. He wasn't always popular. He'd help a stranger. I think Jesus was a protester. He didn't care for money, wealth, cared about how people felt. He turned the tables in the temple. He liked to keep it simple. The people told Jesus, the pauper, back to Nazareth. Be a carpenter like your father. Forget your visions, forget your dreams. Seen as a threat to those in power, Jesus had a very public murder. And look at him now, eh? Hasn't he done well? More followers than anyone else, a venue in every village, umpteen employees, and an awful lot of land. You can't attack the Son of Man. Jesus preached to love thy neighbour. He must have been a protester.